Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Bleeding Metal podcast. My name is Pia, my pronouns are she, her, and today I have a very special guest. My guest is Ulli Perhonen. You might know her as the vocalist of the band Snow White Blood, but she did not only the vocals in the band, she did also several other stuff that we're going to talk about later. First of all, welcome to this episode, Ulli. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm great.
First of all, as I just said, you left your band Snow White Blood in late 2023, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I found it quite impressive how you did that with the band, because the band announced a new video, and with that there were little blinks of the new vocalist already, but we just saw her from behind, so it was not clear who we saw there. And then in the end it was like, oh, there is a new person, and then you handed her over your microphone. I found that a very cool way to announce that the band has a new vocalist, and that also shows that there is no bad blood or anything, that it was that you were fine with that decision. But sometimes I think it is, you decide something and after a while you might feel like, oh, now there was this band that took a huge part in my life and now it's gone. So I'm interested in how you felt after the announcement, after the decision, and how it feels like for you now when you go to concerts and everything. So there were a lot of questions in one.
Yeah.
But please tell us about that.
I'll try my very best. Well, in a chronological order, when I decided to leave the band, in the end, that was just a spontaneous decision, as you might think. After like 9 to 10 years, I've had kind of a strange gut feeling for about a year, I think, before I decided to leave the band. Something just felt odd. I couldn't just name it, but something felt odd and not right at the moment. And in the end, in the retrospective, I would say that I knew deep inside that although I loved the band so much, I mean, we put so much effort in it and so much work, and I loved all of this so much, but I knew I couldn't continue, because in the end, we develop as people. Among other topics we had in the end, we had different aims, a different focus, and I just couldn't handle that anymore at some point. Let's say I wanted to have a broader focus on for example, the artistic side. So, for example, more videos or more time for details in the songs, not so much on the live experience, which is, of course, a matter of taste in the end. But if this is a point where you just can't find a common ground, then it gets more and more complicated. And then this strange gut feeling comes along automatically. Then this is just one topic we had. It's just too much to focus on now. But yeah, in the end, that was one of the reasons I decided that even though I loved it, I still love it. I mean, we had a great time. In the end, I decided that it will be the better way to leave the band.
We just had the conversation with a co-host of the podcast, with Martha, because past year she also left her band Horizons and formed a new band, Neurotidal, also because she just wanted to do other stuff, also with her stage persona, and that wouldn't have fit to her previous band. So sometimes it's just that, you want to go on with something else, right?
Yeah, kind of, or going something else, different focus, shifting. I mean, it's natural. I think we all aren't the person we were 10 years ago anymore. It fits to all of us. So I would say it's a normal process, and sometimes it still fits, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you can find a common ground, and sometimes you need to be honest to yourself. Yeah, but whilst staying the people or the friends you are. In fact, that is why we did that video with a microphone, and that was also perceived as a positive video, also by myself, by the rest of us, because in fact, this is what we wanted it to be. There's so many problems with a vocalist leaving or a band member leaving when there is gossip, and in fact, we're still friends. I still have contact to all of the former band members, So why not make it public? Why not do it in a proactive way and just say, okay, this was a great time. We had lots of great moments together. Now it's time to pass it on, and good luck, have fun, whatever. And yeah, and that was a very positive way to do it. And I think we still feel good about it. And I honestly wish all the best to them as well as they do to myself. And then I think we will follow one another on our ways. And yeah, that's a great thing to do, I think.
Yes, that's also great for the fans, because I remember many, many years ago when Nightwish kicked out their vocalist Taya.
Of course, classic.
That was the worst way to do, or I think it was even worse with Theatre of Tragedy when they announced on their homepage that Liv Christine is no longer the singer of the band, and she found out through the homepage. People, don't do it like that, please. It's bad for the fans. We don't want to listen to your music anymore when you do it that
Not
way.
only for the fans, it's bad for everyone, because this is not the right way to do it. Yeah, we wanted to avoid that at all costs. Yeah.
That's good. How do you feel when you go to concerts now in general, and also when you listen to music? Did it change?
I've never actually listened to that much music at all, which is kind of strange, but some of our musical colleagues have the same thing going on, that we just do not listen to music all the time. I don't know where that comes from, but it didn't quite change that much at all for listening to music. And I would say I'm much more at ease standing before the stage than on stage, to be honest, because you have to be the type that wants to be on stage for like 90 minutes, 120 minutes, whatever you have, like. And I think the longer the gigs were, the more I found out that this is not the core point I'm aiming at. So yeah, standing before the stage, watching a concert. So, for example, I've been to several concerts. For example, Iceland Kills was great. I would love to repeat that whenever they come back. It's also a totally different metal style, but yeah, I love it. I do not listen to much symphonic metal anymore, because at some point you've just had enough of it. Kind of, it's not that it's not good anymore. It's just that you need some new input. And I'm also looking very much forward to the concert of Linkin Park in summer, because I got tickets. And
great.
I'm really happy for that. They were very expensive, let's say. But I said it's a once in a lifetime, whatever. We'll just join them and have a great time. Concerning your other question, because you asked what about the feelings after having left the band, I was like both very sad but also relieved, because of that strange gut feeling I had all the time. And it was tough afterwards as well, because we decided to disband. Then the atmosphere was like, okay, then we can't continue, and yeah, let's just disband. Not just disband, this sounds awkward. It was a very, very, very hard decision, but then we decided to put a statement online. But in fact, behind the scenes, we talked about what about just looking for new band members. I mean, it sounds bad that if I say I am replaceable, that's not what it is meant in a negative way. But in fact, I did the vocals, I did the orchestrations and main composing, but you can split it up. And so they did in the end, after I told them many times. Yeah, eventually they did, and they found the new vocalist Sarah and also another guitarist Marvin, and they are now involved in the songwriting, orchestrations, vocals, of course. And yeah, they've already released new songs, new videos, so check them out on the social media platforms, YouTube, etc. There's always a way. It might differ from the way you're used to, but yeah, now they can continue, and wish them all the best.
But you just said you will follow one each other way, so you're still active in the music business. You're still making music.
At the moment, mostly behind the scenes. Let's put it like this: if you are 4 or 5 people in a band, then you have to focus on moving on, because then otherwise the others wait for you, or you wait for the others, vice versa, depending on which role you have. I am a very slow person that will not change I focus on details and sometimes too much maybe. So yeah, that is one point of the reasons why others always have to wait for me. And now it's kind of better when you have people that at your pace, and then I can have my own pace. So at the moment, or let's say 2025 will be the year of working behind the scenes, I would say. I want to improve my cinematic composing skills. So what I did beforehand was trial and error, let's say. Yeah. And at the moment, I kind of bought too many video tutorials, to be honest, because I found a site which is very interesting, which is very well done with their video tutorials. And let's say there was an offer of 30%, and I was like, okay, why not? And it just bought everything kind of off stock. Yeah, so I'm really interested into going deeper. I'm a music theory nerd, let's say. I'm very interested in how that functions behind. So you can, of course, compose music without knowing all of this. But I think that at some point you just can't go further because you have no tools anymore to help you. Because if you have a hammer, it's fine. You use that hammer. But if you need a screwdriver, then you do not have it in your repertoire. So it's better to know your tools and then you know how to use them. And it's the same for music. In fact, first of all, I want to improve in that cinematic composing. I would also like to learn mixing and mastering. In fact, let's see if I can succeed. But yeah, I had many talks with a good friend of mine, Thomas Kolbin. You might know him from Moonsun, and also Octopulse. So that's his own project. And he's also into that Cubase. So that is the program we use. And yeah, we talked a lot. We talked a lot about composing, mixing, mastering. And I said, I have no clue how to do that. And I need someone to help me. And then he actually offered me a mix. And then I was like, the orchestrations, we should have a closer look at that. And then I totally lost in details. That is my strong and weak point, let's say. Yeah. And then at some point he just said, look, you know how to use that program. I mean, you can always do better. So we also will work on how to properly use Cubase. There are also tutorials if you know how to properly use these composing skills and everything, or that cinematic composing style, whatever. And then it's not that far to think about mixing and mastering. And I was like, oh no, that's what the external studio did all the time. And he was like, yeah, but why not? I mean, like, you can use that program, and then you can reach the goal that it sounds as you want it to be. And that was the point which made me think and then rethink and then rethink and then buy video tutorial. So here we are. Now it's bought. Now I have to do it. No, seriously, it will take its time because, in fact, I have a day job. So it's like a day job, family, whatever. And then the time
comes after that,
yeah, the time that's left is limited. Mostly work behind the scenes. I will try to improve, try to learn, try to get this going, but it will take its time. But in the end, then there's no rush. Yes. I can choose when to do it, and I think that's a benefit then of working on my own. What my, let's say, rough plan is to try all of this or these new skills on first cover snippets. That's something we also began. That's something I can already spoiler. So we already shot a video of 1 minute, and I did the vocals and the composing of a cover song. You will listen to that in several weeks, let's say. The point is to just practice it with cover snippets, not full songs, but snippets that are accompanied with videos, which also combines that artistic side that I'm longing for. Whenever I'm ready to get to my own songs, then I will have already practiced it on cover snippets. It's basically easier to get in if it's kind of restricted because you have that 1 minute on whatever platform, or Instagram, TikTok, whatever, YouTube, I don't know. But it's all about that minute. And then it's much easier to compose for a minute or to arrange, orchestrate, whatever, for a minute than for a 6-minute song, because I know I tend to I do 5 minutes or more. It's just like it just came along all the time. Yeah. So this is a way for the limited time to practice, to get going and still release something from time to time. Yeah, and then let's see what the future holds.
That's so cool. It's never too late to learn something new. And I mean, you were very professional already in a band, and you did all these vocals on Snow White Blood, and you're a very, very skilled vocalist. And I think it's so great that you say, I want to learn something else and to do something else, instead of saying, oh, well, I achieved all of this and I want to stick on that, instead of trying something else because I spent so much time with it. Of course, you can also combine that, because when you composed your own music, you could do the vocals for that. Or if you don't feel like it, you can just not record vocals for that. And that's very inspiring also for other people out there who think, well, I focus so much on other stuff and I don't want to do something else. But it always makes you better in what you do at the moment, to know more about the fields also surrounding your profession. And that's very good to not freeze, quote unquote, where we are at the moment. And also, yeah, it might give you enough, or the joy that you lost in the other profession or the other stuff that you were doing. And even if you try it out and you figure out, okay, it's not what I thought it would be, or it doesn't give me the joy that I thought it would give me, that's still fine. It's always cool to try something new.
Yeah, in fact, you have to keep a growth mindset.
Yes.
So that it's just, for me, for example, yes, we did a lot of work, or I'm very pleased with the Hope Springs Eternal album, but still there's so much room for more. You can always do better. And if you're really interested in something, and I am, in fact, then I want to keep going, even if there's some basics, but because when someone else explains it to you, there's always a new aspect to it, a new side that you haven't discovered, a new perspective. And yeah, that's always a great deal. So if you're interested in it and you want to dive in, then you should. Even though there's apparently no time for it, there's always time for it. It might just take longer. That's the point. I know we, like with family and everything, the time is limited, but still, if you really want to achieve it, then just take your time. But then, of course, for me, in that case, it means that I can't, or I won't join a band anymore. For a feature, of course, that's fine, but not as a permanent band member. That is a decision I made, and I feel good with that decision, and I would do it like that again. So yes. Yeah, and then I have the time to focus on the behind the scenes stuff at the moment, and then let's see what the future holds.
Yes, and that's also something, even with the composing of the songs, with the songwriting and everything, that might also be the bigger part of everything, because what you see is just the upper part of the iceberg, so to speak. Like
absolutely.
You see the song.
Yeah.
But also in Snow White Blood, you did the songwriting, or you took part in the songwriting. So there's so much more to being in a band than just writing a song, writing a song and going on stage. So there is so much behind the scenes stuff going on.
That is absolutely correct. Yeah, some people think that it just falls down from the sky and then there's a song, haha. And yeah, I mean, if you've heard of me, some of you might not, but anyway, then you might, as a first thought, think of me as a vocalist, but that is actually that is the least part I do time-wise. Because singing is like, you practice your song, you think of the melody, you sing, you cut your vocals if you do that on your own. But the composition takes so much more time. I mean, like, it's from the idea to the draft. If you're in the band, then you have to talk to the others, because
everybody needs to feel fine with the song, or
of
put
course.
Something, a riff or whatever.
Exactly. So it depended on the song. So sometimes I was the let's say the only, sometimes the main composer, sometimes the others had more or less input. So for example, Chris in that case on the guitars, he gave the riffs and stuff, but depending on the song. And we worked on it together to basically work on it. So it depended on the song who gave the input first. Maybe there was the riff first, and there was the lyrics first, and we had the vocal melody first. Sometimes it was a rhythm. Sometimes it was just a feeling, actually. So for Rising of the Sun, there was just that feeling of, okay, it has to alternate between eerie, then positive, then eerie again, then positive, then there needs to be that C part, and that was the beginning of that song. So it's just very different on how we approach the songs. And yeah, and also for the instrumentation, neither am I a guitarist, nor am I a bassist, nor am I a drummer. So the others, let's say, ameliorated their instrument on the basis of what they were given. But in fact, the ideas or the draft was mainly done by myself. Yeah, and then of course the lyrics. I'm not that much of a good lyricist, I would say. Maybe the lyrics in the end they turn up good for depending on who you ask. But it's not that I stand up and then they're the lyrics falling from the sky again. But it's like I have topics I want to write about, but it's not that it's just there. I need to work on it. That's the case for myself. Others might work in a different way, but for myself, it's like that. And yeah, of course, you have to have that catchy melody. That is also, if it sounds like easy, then then it probably isn't, because you took the time and effort to create that catchy tune, so it can be used in the whole song as a, not riff, it's for guitar, it's a riff. I can't think of the word.
As a theme, actually.
As a theme, yeah, exactly. So that is actually what also cinematic composers do. They have that theme and they just play around with it. They have their composing skills, how to insert it so it sounds different yet familiar. That is what I was talking about with the tools. And so you have that song that belongs together, in fact, and still has that theme going through, and it doesn't get dull and boring still. Then also the dynamics and everything. So yeah, that's I lost
cool.
my thread, actually.
So thank you for all the input, and also maybe hyping one another up to to start a new hobby or a new profession or learn a new skill or whatever. Is there anything else you want to say about composing or what you're doing, or also how people can work with you if they want to have a feature with you or anything?
Basically, they can get in touch with me. I'm open for collabs, for commissions. They can get in touch via Instagram or via Facebook or via where else can you reach out for me? Basically, Instagram is maybe the best way.
Yeah.
And then I read the messages. Sometimes it takes a few days to answer, maybe not. And yeah, I've also done some collabs in the past. So the one you might probably know is the one with Blackbriar, or with several other bands. There's also something coming up with, I hope not to mispronounce him, Matthias Bakonski. I don't know. So yeah, there's a song coming up on his album. There are also other vocalist features without lyrics. That was a bit strange in the beginning. He said no lyrics, just
vocals.
just think of a vocal line. It's basically piano with orchestration. And he was like, yeah, give it a go. I was like, okay.
Nice.
I tried my very best. And whenever I'm ready to use my hopefully new mixing, mastering skills, and the other song is ready, the cover snippet, I mean, then it will also be released on social media. So yeah, looking forward. But yeah, I think Instagram is the best way to get in touch. And yeah, there's also there's more content, in fact, because I do not only do music, but I also just enjoy, having from time to time having photo shoots. So that is another way to express myself, because I just enjoy that. That is what I mean. Like, I sometimes compare it to even though I'm not an actor, but there were like actors in films, and there are actors on stage, or both.
Mm-hmm.
In a musical sense, I just see myself more as an actor in film or in photos, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
and on stage, which is not a either or, but the focus is more on the
On the
lens,
photos.
let's say, on the lens, maybe photos, maybe videos. I just enjoy it very much. And I know from other musicians that say, oh God, I hate shooting music videos. And I'm like,
Yes.
what? I could do that all the time. It's just so expensive. For example, I enjoyed very, very much shooting the video of You Belong to Me.
Mm-hmm.
It was the one that was actually where everyone told me, it's too long for a music video. Don't do that. And I was like, I want to have this as a music video, believe it or not. And now they're all like, oh, it's so good. And I was like, I told you. I told you. I knew it would be good. Yeah, because we worked with Oinhat's artwork. So Liz, for example, she also told me in the beginning, oh my goodness, this is like going to be 2 music videos. I was like, oh yeah, but I don't want to do that, please. And now we're all very happy. She also did the promo photos and also the lyric video of Shed Hearts. So I'm very happy, and I definitely want to work with them again. As I told you, I'm perfectionist in that area as well. So let's say you need to want to work with me, because I might get really annoying because of these details, these tiny. Yeah, some people can handle it, and in fact would work with me again. But I know I'm kind of annoying sometimes. I think that's just honest. Yeah, so that would be something I would like to repeat. But I know how much effort she puts in that, or they put in that. I just want to try out how to do this myself. I mean, it's okay. I've never done it before, and it's okay. It turned out quite nice for the skills I have. I would just say that for the moment, I would not repeat it, because I do have the limited time I have, and then I really want to focus on the musical side.
And you can find all the stuff on YouTube, and we will also link it in the show notes. You can find the Bleeding Metal podcast also on Instagram. It's at Bleeding Metal Pod, and you can find Ulli at Ulli Perhonen on Instagram. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Ulli, for being our guest here and sharing your feelings, your thoughts, and also the motivation to learn a skill and to stay in the music business without maybe being in the spotlight so much. So yes, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, and hear you next time when it's time for the Bleeding Metal podcast. Bye bye.